Almighty Church of Rock with a band called Pentagram. Sorry to interrupt, man. I don't like coitus interrupt us or music interrupt us. Not fun. But, hey, we've got to attend to business. On the line with us right now from Los Angeles, California, in his car, I think, it's Brandon Cruz. Hey, brother.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, bro?
I'm driving in my car down fabulous Melrose Avenue.
Well, hopefully you'll drive safely, man.
In Hollywood. Oh, yeah. I'm not texting or anything, so I probably won't hit anyone.
Yeah, that's funny. We were talking earlier. Sister Tracy is sitting here with me as well, by the way. And
Hello.
Hello, Brandon.
And we were talking about Bill Bixby because I'm old enough to remember Bill Bixby being a pretty big presence on television back in the day. And Tracy was saying some people might not remember Bill, except, of course, as the Amazing Hulk. I think everybody does. But what was Bill Bixby like to work with, man?
He was a horrible human being. I hated this guy. Bill was great. He was a really cool guy. He was when I first met him in '68, he was a young single guy just coming off of a few years of starring in My Favorite Martian, which was in black and white.
That's right.
He'd been on the Danny Thomas show and a few other things early in his career, and then he had My Favorite Martian. So some people can get the DVDs of that's out there. It's on YouTube, and then he did Eddie's Father. And then he did I think he did The Hulk and the Magician and Goodnight Beantown, and then he started directing a bunch more. He directed Eddie's Father, but he did a lot of stuff. He did a lot of plays. I don't know what age your audience is. I mean, I'm almost 55, so I'm old. I was just listening to some bluegrass and some butthole surfers too, but a lot of bluegrass because I'm old and I like that stuff. Because I remember when it was not like old hillbilly music; it was just music from another part of the country. And same with Eddie's Father. Bill was popular all over the country, but it's a whole different country now. 40-some years. No, it's going to be 48 years since the TV show even aired.
Wow, crazy.
Wow.
When we premiered. So there's a whole new couple of generations out there. There's people that were my age are grandparents now. So
yeah, I do see.
I don't expect people to know Eddie's Father, but maybe the Hulk. But you think nowadays it's Mark Ruffalo,
right?
And even Mark. And the last time the Hulk had a movie with Mark Ruffalo, it's like, man, that was a long time ago. My son was little. There could be a new Hulk now, and nobody would care or know that it was a new guy. I guess shows, it's like King Kong has grown so huge from the old Japanese, movies and the old King Kong movies, and look how big Godzilla is now. The Hulk's going to have to be 12 feet tall. Played by some NDA guy from the Croatia.
Right.
Just because that's how they do things now. The bigger is better for Hollywood, it seems, and that's kind of the Hulk was just a guy who got pissed off and threw some bad dudes around.
Yeah, I do see the memes every once in a while. The memes that have Bill Bixby getting pissed off and his eyes turning all green, and it's like it's been made into 1,000 different memes. So I think
kids probably know the meme of don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. They know that line more than they know Bill. And Bill was the one who said that originally in the TV show in, 78, I think that show started.
Wow.
So go back to 78. That was just a couple years after the Ramones were, big.
That's right.
That was a long time ago.
Now, what about, how did you get into punk rock exactly after your acting career and stuff? When did you first get into punk rock?
Kind of during my acting career, in a really weird, only in Hollywood way. Because I was on Eddie's Father, we had a lot of people around the set, especially the guy who wrote the theme song. That was Harry Nilsson. Harry knew a bunch of, incredible musicians and would bring them by, and I met Beatles with him, and I met Joe Cocker with him, and I met some Rolling Stones, and And my mom was this traveling hippie, crazy woman who took, us to Woodstock and took us to Altamont, and the Hells Angels were bouncers at Altamont. My uncle was a Hells Angel, so, I was always into this kind of heavier, darker side of rock because I wasn't a big Beatles fan.
Yeah, the whole Gimme Shelter, Altamont, kind of a dark.
I was a Rolling Stone. Your family either was a Beatles family or Rolling Stones family. Well, we were like this Mexican combo, white trash, hippie family from Oxnard with the Hells Angel uncle. So we were definitely Rolling Stones family. And, it just got weirder after that. Because I knew all these different musicians, my mom ended up knowing, because she was always on the set with me, people in Zappa's band. Jimmy Carl Black, the Indian, the drummer.
Wow.
Became a good friend. And we hung out with a kid named Ted Quinn, who was a child actor, a couple years older than me. I did a movie in '69 with him and Wayne Newton, of all other weird people to mention. So staying at Ted Quinn's house on Woodrow Wilson Drive up in the Hollywood Hills, he lived across the street from Zappa. Zappa had a ton of people hanging around there all the time. My mom knew them all. So we just made a summer of hanging out there in '69 till about '73. And I think it was about '73 that Zappa and a bunch of guys came back from a tour. They had been in Ohio, and a guy who we all called Uncle Don handed me a cassette and said, "If you like our weird stuff, kid, you'll love this." And there was a band they played with in '73 in Akron, Ohio, and they were known as Devo.
Interesting.
So Uncle Don was actually Don Van Vliet, who was Captain Beefheart. So Beefheart gave me and Teddy Quinn a cassette to listen to that was Devo. In '73, I talked to Mother's Bar about it, and he goes, "Wow, I can barely remember that. We were just kids." They were going to Ohio State. They had written a few songs, and, Zappa and Beefheart were coming through town, so they figured these weird kids who hang out in basements at Ohio State should play music with them. And they did, and they liked it, and they thought I would like it too. So I heard about Devo. Didn't really, didn't make me want to go to Akron, but, I liked it. It was trippy. It wasn't real heavy, but it was trippy.
Not much can make you want to go to Akron.
But Dr. Demento was playing music in Los Angeles. There was a radio station called KPPC in Pasadena that was basically an underground kind of pirate radio station at the time, and they were playing early Iggy, early Bowie, so there was some glam, and there was some rock, and there was MC5, and there was, the proto-punk kind of stuff going on, and my mom was always listening to stuff like that. And then I did Bad News Bears in '75, and in '76 they sent me to London to premiere the movie, and it just happened to be the 4th of July in '76 the only 4th of July in '76, when the Ramones were playing, opening for the Flaming Lips.
Wow.
And I was in the same hotel, and Johnny recognized me. And Johnny was a big Bad News Bears fan. He had seen it in the States. He recognized me from Eddie's father in Bad News Bears. He's a huge baseball guy, huge TV memorabilia guy. And Johnny introduces himself to me and my mom, and we talk. And I know it was my grandma. My grandma actually was over there with me. And he said, "We're playing tomorrow. You should come check it out." And I did. And I heard that music. I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. This is, something just changed. Like, wow, this isn't, what I'm used to, but this is what I've been looking for. It was the next logical step from Black Sabbath.
And how old were you at this point?
13, 14.
Okay.
And so on the way back, he said, "Hey, if you're in New York, go to CD's, go to Max's, and some other places, and look for these bands." And, I knew the next night up in Sheffield that the Clash and the Sex Pistols played, and I saw some people that they said were punk rock. But, in England then at that time, there were maybe, it was like the early days of Hollywood. There were only like 50 to 100 punks that were really, fashionable. Everybody else had long hair and bell-bottoms and, platform shoes. There was no real big punk rock scene. It
Right.
was just starting. And the Ramones kind of kicked it off and showed everybody how to play really fast. Because from what I've heard from people who were there as well, everybody started playing faster once they showed up. Because if you listen, the Clash weren't a real fast band. Once they heard, other stuff, they went faster, and then they went slower again. White Riot, probably their fastest song, and then they did, Guns N' Brixton and stuff like that. So they slowed down again, but the initial surge was, that Ramones influence. But I didn't really do anything with that knowledge. There wasn't a lot in L.A., and I lived up in Oxnard, and I wasn't driving. But once I started coming down to L.A., 79, 80 on a regular basis, going to see all kinds of bands. The filming of the Music War happened in early 1980, where you had, $3 gigs at the Whiskey A Go-Go that were, like a Gang of Four, the Surf Punks, the Go-Go's, all on one bill for,
Yeah,
$3.
that was a great documentary, man. The Cramps, I think, were on there.
Oh, and I went to all those gigs. A lot were at the Santa Monica Civic and a lot were at the Whiskey. And we just kept going, and all these bands kept coming in that were just unbelievable. Some of you only got to see, one time.
Right.
Because they came and then they fell apart, or they became other bands, or they imploded, or whatever happened. But I just cut my teeth on listening to early, heavy, weird music. I always liked the Dr. Demento stuff, the Barnes and Barnes comedy stuff.
Oh yeah.
And, but Sabbath, and bands like Blue Cheer and Mott the Hoople and Bowie, and there was always something dark or something heavy or something trippy that was just not the slick, overproduced Journey and Foreigner and Styx and all the stuff that we just really got sick of.
Amen.
As far as me and the small group of friends of mine that discovered this stuff together, coming down to Hollywood was a big thing for a lot of people, but I've been coming down here all my life to film. So it was like I knew how to get places. I knew where the clubs were, and I was always the guy that would drive or give directions. Or we were all loaded back then. We did whatever we wanted, really, and we didn't have a lot of parental supervision. I mean, by the time I was 15, I was hopping on planes to Hawaii or Australia to go surf with my friends because I was done with high school after Bad News Bears, and I wasn't going to listen to any more teachers because I never really had. Besides a private tutor on the set, I didn't go to school. I had a month here, a couple months there, once in a while, some grades, and more in 7th and 8th grade when I after filming Bad News Bears and I wasn't doing other stuff. Yeah, I had to go for a little while, but once high school started, I was like, man, I'm gone. And back then tickets were cheap. You could get a $1,500 around the world ticket on Pan Am. Show up at an airport, say, I want to go on this flight. There weren't full flights all the time. You could go anywhere for a year around the world as many times as you could get to an airport.
So yeah, you had what some people would call the ideal childhood, and what a great time to be, in Hollywood, in LA.
As far as an upbringing, it was, well, there's that old book that says it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Right on.
Being a famous kid in Hollywood at that time really ostracized me from my friends and my peers. Half the school wanted to kick my ass and half wanted my autograph. So it was hard. It was hard to know where I should be or who I should be. I spent, from 5 until 13 playing other parts, pretending to be other people. It's not as bad as it sounds. Like, oh, poor me. Yeah, I out-earned my dad for 5 years straight. I did, this, that, the other, whatever. But it was hard coming of age, maturing, going through puberty.
Yeah, a little confusing.
Not knowing what was what, and then the way Hollywood affects families. There was a lot of really crazy stuff that went on with my already crazy family. So it just was never amazingly easy to be a kid in that situation, and that's why punk rock and drugs and surfing really, had something for me.
Sure.
I didn't have to be Brandon. My first foray into clubs in Hollywood, the doorman couldn't hear me over the band. He thought my name was Random. And so I was given punk rock name without even really being into punk rock yet. I was just coming down to check it out.
You're random.
He introduced me to some people as Random. Yeah, and there was already a band called the Randoms here in L.A. Or had been a band called the Randoms. Because I was, after, like I saw the Germs a couple times before Darby died, and I knew him because he knew skaters that I knew from Santa Monica and Venice, but it wasn't like I was hanging out in Hollywood and, had a blue mohawk in 77. It was like, no, I was checking it out, but I didn't know if this crowd was going to accept me either.
Right.
But this crowd didn't care. This crowd passed me a joint and didn't even ask my name.
Nice.
This crowd handed me some pills and said, want to get high? I was like, wow, that means I don't have to be Eddie. That's kind of cool.
Wow.
For me at that point in time.
Wow.
So, punk rock, almost killed me, but it saved my life too, in a way.
Right. So I think that's the case with.
If it wasn't for surfing and punk rock, and I was afforded the ability to travel because I was a kid on TV.
Right.
And I was a really good liar because I was paid to lie, and I could scam and BS my way onto surf trips and surf contests. I could go and meet the world champion surfer of the time, and they remembered me from TV, and their pictures were on my wall. And it's like, I wasn't part of the audience. I was never a civilian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was never in the audience. I was either a performer or I knew the performers. And backstage was where I felt most comfortable because I was always on in some degree. And then with punk rock and surfing, it's like, nobody cared if I really caught a 6-foot, barrel of pipeline. They just thought it was cool that I would actually even paddle out. But then when I would catch a piece of waves, they were like, oh, hey, the guy could actually even surf. Same with the skateboard world. Tony Alva and Jay Adams are some of my best friends. Go skating with them, it's like, oh, the dude from Eddie's father showed up today. That was cool. But he actually rode the pool with us, and it's pretty good. I wasn't a pro, but I didn't hold my own, but I wasn't a kook.
You weren't a poser.
And that was the big thing. I didn't pose at that crap. And then when I started, in punk bands, there wasn't enough people yet to be called a poser.
Now, speaking, Brandon, I hate to interrupt you, but we do have we're running short on time. I kind of wanted to ask you what you've got going on right now as far as Dr. No. Are you got anything in the works, or what's up?
Well, I have a band now. It's not Dr. No. It's No. No is not Dr. No because we don't need no doctors, number one, if you remember that song.
I do.
Number two, No is like flag is to Black Flag.
I see.
We are all ex-members of Dr. No from various lineups coming together to play the punk music of Dr. No.
That's awesome.
We play mainly songs that Dr. No doesn't play anymore. We don't play the song we're most famous for because I just can't stand singing that song anymore. I won't repeat it on a family show, but you know the song.
Right.
Buddy.
Are you guys touring?
Yeah. We are playing some shows. We've done a few gigs. We're going up to the Bay Area in April, and then in July we're going to kick off a European tour, starting in Copenhagen with Discharge and ending with Rebellion Fest in Blackpool, England, in August 8th, I think. Maybe we have one more gig in London.
Nice.
That, but we're going to be there for we're going to do 15 shows in 14 days.
Awesome.
And then and just have a blast, and we get to play with Discharge. My buddy Rainey, I love that guy. He just lost his dear girlfriend Naya. She just passed away a month ago.
Oh, man.
He's still having a rough time, but I love Rainey. And actually, when I'm in Copenhagen, I have a band with Rainey and Steve Allen from Disorder and Charlie Clayson from Anti-Cymex.
Rad.
So the four of us have a band over there in Europe. And I'm looking forward to going over and visiting and playing with them before No goes. But we're doing a series of shows now. We're going to pay for our own trip. We're not going to use GoFundMe, crowdsource type of stuff. We're not going to say, hey, people who like us, send us to Europe. No, we're going to raise money the old-fashioned American way by we're going to play for our fare, and that's it's old school.
Awesome, man.
We're just a punk band.
Well, if you guys,
we don't claim to be anything. We're not. We're not anything other than we're just a bunch of guys. Some back in '81, we were a bunch of awkward, angry, and horrible musicians who came together to play punk rock, and that's pretty much how it still is.
Nice. Well,
I don't think we're better. Well, I mean, we're older, we're wiser, but hey, it's a punk rock band that I scream for 45 minutes. That's about it. It's fun now.
And this is our third time actually interviewing you, and I'd like to have you back on the show down the road because you always have very interesting stories, bro. I love it.
Well, I would like to be. I'm far mellower now. I'm practicing Buddhist. I meditate. I just came from meditation. I'm real mellow.
Nice.
The whole situation around the world is really terrifying, and it's a scary time to be in America right now. My friends in Europe are being called ugly Americans, and taxis won't pick them up. And so now they're getting a taste of what it feels like to be a non-privileged white American.
Amen.
And I think everybody experienced that because I may have been born in this country, but I don't have to agree with what's going on in it.
That's right.
And I'm not necessarily, my last name does end in Z. I'm not necessarily the Aryan type. So, my experience is a little different. I've been spoiled by a lot of things, and I've been screwed by a lot of things. But I'm just here. I want to just have a good time. I want to play some music. I want to see some friends. And I want to see some cool stuff. So, going to Europe is going to be pretty awesome. And going back to play, if we come to Ashland or Medford or, all the cool places that we get to go and play, for the pyro punks up there in Ashland and Medford and all those guys, I'm almost 55 years old. I'm still playing punk rock. I mean, come on, this is still a dream, man.
Well, hey,
it's still
I just I turned 50 not too long ago, so I'm right behind you, bro.
Yeah,
but
that's 5 years. That was a big gap back in the day. Now it's like, welcome to 50.
Yeah.
And,
But on that note, we do have to go. I've got some live guests that got to get on the air here that are in the studio with us, brother. But thanks a million for taking the time out to be on the Church of Rock again, Brandon.
My pleasure, Church of Rock. You have a good one, Bloody. I'll never call you Buddy. I don't know why Facebook made you change your name.
Wankers. Wankers.
Buddy. Yeah, I know. Well, hey, it is what it is.
It is, brother.
It's all good, man. We're all still here doing what we like to do.
Yeah.
And or what we're allowed to do. Do what you're allowed to do now before it's not allowed.
Amen. Amen, brother. Thank you so much, Brandon, and you keep meditating, bro.
I'm working on it.
All right. Good. Take care, Brandon. Brandon Cruz, everybody. Make a noise for him.